You're listening to the Pure Athlete Podcast, where we're going to dive into the world of sports. We're going to go through some updates, but we're also going to always be linking this back to student athletes, their parents, and making those links. So as we talk through some of these items, as we do every week, look for that. We're always going to link and bring it full circle for you guys. So, AT Erin over here, Dr. Dustin Boston here. What's up, Erin?
Nothing much, old pal.
Yeah.
We're on episode 2, so hopefully this goes a little smoother.
Yep. Get our shit together this time.
Yeah. Got a dance competition coming up this weekend, really kicking off that season for high school dance in the
Glad
area.
you finally got that paid for, and you guys are legit entered now.
Yeah, for real.
You almost had to ask for forgiveness for.
Yeah.
You almost had to ask for a spot.
Yeah. At least the high school who puts it on noticed. They were like, oh, they're not here. They're not on the schedule. So.
And the Pure Athlete has sponsored that dance competition.
Yeah.
Super cool. Happy to do that. What else we got tonight?
Tonight we got a recovery night for a local dance team. And then next week we have the JV version of that team coming in. Yeah, first of many.
A lot going on.
Lots.
All right, well, we've got a packed lineup today. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button. We've got Aaron.Ruggieri, ATC, on Instagram. You've got Dr. Dustin Boston on Instagram as well and everywhere else.
Yeah.
So feel free to follow us there. The Pure Athlete as well. Follow that. We are so close to launching our private community for student athletes.
Yeah.
We've already got a private community for student athlete parents so they can continue to ask better questions and, again, just give them resources.
Yeah.
So super fun group as that's continuing to grow. I think we're almost to 100 people at this point, which is, yes, small now, but I'm interested to see what it's going to look like in 12 months or as we continue to make traction with that. So.
All right. Let's kick things off.
Cool.
So segment number 1, we have our weekly roundup. So first one on our weekly roundup is a pretty hot topic in sports right now.
I'd say.
Just a little bit. Aaron Rodgers, my former QB1 on fantasy, is returning to practice this week. So he is on the practice field.
There's no way.
That's what they say, though.
I know. I saw it, too.
He had his Achilles torn on September 11th. So September, October, November, December.
It's crazy. Them chiropractic kids heal different.
Yep.
Pretty sure his dad's a chiropractor.
He is.
Yeah.
And he gets all kinds of like other treatments. He gets massages. He gets needling, everything.
Chiropractic is a service, but it's also a lifestyle. There's my shameless plug. It's more of a lifestyle than it is a service.
Yeah.
Keep going.
They say that he's reportedly closing in on his return to the field, but he's still waiting for that official clearance from docs. They're really just waiting on that for him to be able to go full blown. But as we've seen in the media, he's basically already doing that, just minus the running.
Yeah.
Every video you see of him, the only thing he's not doing is planting and running. So that's really the final step to that.
So he's full-time, back on facility.
Yeah.
So he's not just going to be sitting on the Pat McAfee show,
Right.
chilling out with his leg up.
Yeah, when he's sitting like this down. But yeah, that's exciting for everyone involved.
Yeah, absolutely.
I don't think we'll see if he makes a comeback for playoffs if the Jets make it. I hope he comes back. I need a new QB1, but that's how that goes.
Well, I like Aaron Rodgers. There's another. I mean, being that he's at the tail end of his career, like that's not to be hidden. Like he might play 2 more years, he might play 4 more years.
Right.
I mean, he hasn't decided yet either, but definitely at the tail end of his career.
Yeah.
If we all remember, I forget what year it was. My brother's a huge history buff, but there's another prime time athlete who had a similar injury at the end of his career, unfortunately no longer with us, but Kobe Bryant did the same thing and did very well after he tore his Achilles. So, but also at the tail end of his career, I think the whole leadership play for Rodgers being there too, it's not just the leadership play. I mean, he'd be my QB1 any day. You bring Tom Brady back, he'd be my QB1. You bring Peyton Manning back, he'd be my QB1. But the leadership and the fact that he has been as involved as he has is super cool. And we talked about that on the last episode. His leadership's a lifestyle. It's a adverbitive.
Yeah.
Like it's a word you can. I'm a doctor. I can make up words. It's legal.
Is that how that goes?
But the leadership that he has shown and what he's been there for and standing behind and not standing behind, but standing with his team the whole time has been pretty cool. Yeah,
for sure. And then our next one is the mayor of Paris, where the next Olympics is happening.
We're going international.
Heck yeah. So where that is happening, that mayor said publicly that they are quitting to use the platform X, so Twitter, formerly known, as the city gears up for those Olympics, because it is like, for them, they say a toxic environment for social media. So they are stopping the use of Twitter in the light of hosting the Olympics.
And I guess that's where we say deuces. See ya.
Yeah.
I mean, it's the Olympics. We're going to find the information. That's
Yeah.
fine. And okay, you don't want to use that platform, whatever. I think I'm going to get rid of every other platform and just go to X.
No, literally.
But
yeah.
okay.
I mean, as much as they want to stay off of Twitter, the athletes themselves are still going to be on Twitter.
Yeah. The coverage is still going to be covered.
Yeah. So even if like the city itself and the mayor is not using it, you really can't stop everyone else who's not at the Olympics from updating on there.
Yeah.
The amount of influencers who go to the Olympics just to like make content, that's going to still happen.
They should do like random, they should just go on the streets and randomly like give stats from other social media platforms and be like, okay, you've got to pick one of these 4.
Yeah.
You've got this, and this, and then they're probably going to be like, well, I'll pick that one. Yeah, that's Twitter, or that's X.
It's going to be, yeah.
It's like people are so surprised. You do that with like anything. You do like taste, they do this with like presidential debates too. It's like you see people go on the street, or they do it with like other services or brands, and they'll be like, okay, we're going to give you some statistics. Tell us which ones you pick. And they always pick the one that they're trying to pick against, and then they pick the one that it's like, wait, really? Mm-hmm. It's funny.
Yeah.
They should do that.
Yeah.
Fine, see ya. Bye. No X.
Maybe
that letter's not in their alphabet.
Maybe.
They just can't figure it out.
Oh my goodness.
I'm French. I can say that.
Our third one, my favorite, is so the Alabama quarterback right now, Jalen Milroe. He was on the bench. He was told to his face that he would never see the Alabama field as a quarterback. Well, now he is being said as irreplaceable to them, and he is their QB1 right now. Yeah.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
I mean, they went through, I think, all 3 of the quarterbacks they had. I mean, I'm sure they got more than 3, but like roster.
The dressing ones, yeah.
Excuse me. Yeah, they went through all 3 in like in the first game, 2 games, 3 games, and then they settled with him. And yeah, I mean, I think Alabama. I like watching these Alabama games as close as they've been, because I mean, let's go back just 2-3 years ago when they're just blowing number 2 people out by like 30.
Yep.
And it's like, okay, that's fun. But to see them battle, it's been super fun. Now, the way the Auburn game went, it's like, that's a huge game. You've got to expect them to play tough. Like Auburn could be 1-9.
Yeah.
And like it's going to be a game. But I had extended family go to Alabama, so I'm a little partial. There's not many teams I don't like. I don't fall into the whole rivalry thing, really. I don't.
Yeah.
But that was a little close for comfort.
Mm-hmm.
Last pass.
A little. It was not okay. No.
Yeah. It was like a hurricane, not just a tide that would have came through that place. Holy cow.
Yeah. But yeah, those are our weekly roundups.
Explain to me the elephant.
The elephant?
Yeah.
Of Alabama?
Yeah.
I don't know. It's for fun, I guess.
I mean, is that like is it like a flock of geese? Is it a tide of elephant?
That's a really good question.
Speaking of off the cuff.
Speaking of off the cuff.
Well, we're going to bring Sam in. Sam's back there typing. She's like, I'm going to figure it out. What's with the Alabama? I mean, like, are you an idiot? Like, oh, here we go. Enter Sam. Samantha.
Okay. So during a game against Ole Miss, a fan in the stands referred to Alabama's linemen as elephants because they were larger than the Ole Miss players, and a journalist soon began referring to them as the Red Elephants.
Perfect.
So then they changed the whole school to elephants?
So then they should change a group of elephants to a tide. That would be
a
sweet.
good idea.
You're welcome. I have a lot of those.
Nat Geo, where you at?
Roll of elephants.
No, tide. Those guys are all huge.
Yeah.
All those guys that have been there. I mean, yeah. So,
Yeah.
well, that does and doesn't make sense, but super cool. I actually have a shirt that has that. That's why I asked, and it just kind of sparked now we're talking about Alabama. So there you go.
Yeah. All right. So our next segment is actually when Sam enters the chat again. So our next
Too
one
many
is
times.
Hey, now.
next one is professional opinions.
Okay, so these two I'm very excited about. The first one ties into our deep dive this week, and then the second one has stuck with me since I found it on TikTok this summer. You'll be very pleased.
Oh, we're
with both.
throwing it back.
Yeah, we are.
Also, before we get into it, I want everyone to know that this is a very candid segment.
Yes.
We don't know what
Yeah.
she's about to show us, so you're getting our professional opinions
I've got
on
an
the
outline,
topic.
and that is not in it.
Yeah.
And some pictures I did put, and we will be putting them in the
You guys are
pod
gonna-
as well,
All right.
in the video. So
We're getting techie.
let's do it. So NASA, like space NASA, is buzzing over Mr. Josh Dobbs, the pastronaut, QB1 now of the Minnesota Vikings.
Also my QB1.
Yes, let's go, Josh Dobbs.
She goes from Aaron Rodgers to Pastrana.
I went from Aaron Rodgers to Zach Wilson
Oh.
to the Giant, Daniel Jones, and then I went to Dobbs.
Isn't Tommy DeVito the Giants now?
Now he got hurt.
He got hurt.
Well,
yeah.
I'll tell you what. If I was going to hire an agent for my fantasy team, if I was going to hire a squad, I would put these two up against anybody else I would know.
go.
I've never played fantasy football.
I
And
hadn't
know-
either
I
until
know we're
this
getting
year.
off track, but
Yeah,
love
we'll come
this.
back, Samantha.
I love this. That's fine.
But like, yeah, if you're like, you have to play next year, I'm like, okay, well, my crew is going to be these two.
We can be your commissioners.
Yes, I'm into it. Let's go.
my board of rosters.
Yeah.
Yes, let's go.
All right, back to NASA.
So we all know, I need really back to NASA. So we all know, well, I don't know that you know this, but Josh Dobbs has a degree from Tennessee, go Vols. And he graduated in 2017.
Go
with,
Vols, says the Mizzou
Yeah,
graduate.
I know. Well, go Josh Dobbs. He has a degree in aerospace engineering.
Whew.
I know. That's why
He looks like it though.
he really does. What a smart guy. So Josh is currently creating a new wave of excitement for the world of science.
I love science.
He's bringing football fans, the younger generation, and science together, which is really cool. But the NASA's Glenn Research Center in Ohio even posted about Josh Dobbs in early November, and their engagement went skyrocketed, literally. The post received, 3 million views, and their followers increased by 216%.
Wow.
Which is wild. And after the week that, Josh Dobbs stepped in for Jaron Hall, who was before, they said the U.S. decided to start looking things up, like searching on Google, is Josh Dobbs an astronaut, after hearing about his degree. Yeah. I love it. It's so fun. And Josh Dobbs NASA was the other search that America was going for. But nerds are cool, says literally the director of engineering at Kennedy Space Center in Florida. And Josh has made engineering cool. We want to ride this wave as long as we can, he said. But he is actually not the first NFL player to go to space, become an astronaut. I know.
Who was the other one? Travis Kelce?
No, it's actually, he wants to go with SpaceX. This guy actually went with NASA. So his name is Leland Melvin, and he played for the
Leland.
You're
Sorry,
right.
Leland.
But he played for Detroit and Dallas in the 80s. And when he was asked about the subject, he said, "When I was growing up, you could either be a jock or a scientist, and people didn't see that you could do both. It's just powerful and beautiful to see that right now."
Hell
And
yeah.
so, last, I just wanted to point out, I want your guys' kind of take on what you think about this. But
No, this was supposed to be our take. I think Sam put a
I
pretty
know.
good take on this on her own.
I wanted to know like what you guys think of this, but it says, so they're talking about, I read this on ESPN, but the director of STEM education actually, and as a former educator, this is really cool to me. The Science Museum of Minnesota has noticed that with their partnership through the Vikings and a Q&A with Josh Dobbs, that students are so much more engaged.
Yeah.
So he says that educational research shows the importance of role models and how young people see themselves, especially in STEM fields and professions. He says, I think that it helps broaden the expectations that students have. There's a lot of stereotypes around science and engineering and who is and isn't welcome in those fields. And I think having Josh there sort of in a public space, it allows us to draw examples. And I think when he's directly able to interact with students, drawing those connections himself is even more powerful for those kids.
What do you think, AT Erin?
I think it's really cool, but I also want to know how
We've been known to dabble in science.
Yeah, just a wee bit.
Not
just a little bit of anatomy.
Neurophys.
No, not the doctors over here.
No.
Just a little bit. I think it's cool, but I also want to know how he got a degree in that and balanced being like an athlete.
Well, since the pure athlete is wrapped around physical,
Yeah.
mental relationships and all about preparing them for what's to come, what's about to come, here's the deal, Josh Dobbs. How about you come be a guest of ours on our podcast, and he can answer that question
You're
for
right.
you.
You're right, QB1.
So let's just go ahead and do that. Yep, on your fantasy team. So we're already all on the same page here. But no, I mean that's I think we both can with what we have done. I think there's probably some similarities in what we could probably speak on that a little bit. But to have him do that. And what he has done, I think that's super cool as well.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of, because one of the things that we hear about all the time from student athletes and their parents is time management.
Yeah.
So that's a huge, he's got to be a huge asset in learning time management and how exactly he did that. So Josh, how about you come help our community and find what we're doing with this mission of Pure Athlete, and we'll let you answer that.
Yeah.
But I also think I think it's super cool that who these kids are going to be looking up to now. Like, I hope this is a consistent shift. And
Yeah.
I hope the media starts to attract and tag and seek out these specific athletes that are doing that. There's a lot of the athletes out there that have degrees or, are potential astronauts or doctors, lawyers, high educators, whatever it is. Let's start attracting and putting out in the media these kinds of things versus the alternative.
Yeah.
And I don't even want to speak and put it out there. It's unfortunate what some of them get into and do. Jay Morant is one of the people that I think of great talent, and he's trying to get his career and life back on track. But it's like, yes, people need to know and hear about that, I guess. But more the Josh Dobbs story, I like where this is headed.
Yeah, I like when, not celebrities, but I mean, as a professional athlete, you kind of become a celebrity in that space. Use the platform that they're given, being so talented and in a professional role, to do good things. The other one who comes to mind is Kylie Kelsey. She always says, she's like, I don't love being in the limelight, but if it's going to help me what I'm doing, then I'm going to do it.
Yeah.
And so I like that part, that he's using it for a good reason, like you're saying.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's I love that. I think it's super interesting.
Yeah.
Because there's also, with everything, there's always a stereotype to something.
Yeah,
right.
always.
No matter what it is you're doing, whether it's a field, a sport, doesn't matter. There's a stereotype, and the jock stereotype is out there.
Yeah.
But it needs to end, and it's like, let's showcase a lot of these athletes who have. And no disrespect to anybody else, but these high degrees, I mean, that's no joke.
Yeah.
Those just don't happen by accident. So, yeah, I love it. I think it's going to inspire a lot of kids. And
Yeah.
I as far as you parents and student athletes that are listening to this, seek those guys out.
Yeah.
And follow them versus what the alternative could be, because no matter what, eventually, whether you get to play next level or not, eventually, whether you're 18 or 58,
Right.
it comes to an end.
Right.
So whether you need to fall back on it or not, great. But it also just the mindset, the intellect, the how it opens your mind, the critical thinking, the problem solving, the societal interaction, and learning how to deal with people in perspective. I'm huge on perspective. That's a whole lot of different angles and perspective going through that. So.
Yeah. Love it. I want him to go throw a football in space. Be so fun.
It just doesn't stop.
Yeah.
It just goes forever.
Yeah.
All right, you guys. I have been thinking.
Where did that ball land? Uranus.
Okay, you're done. You're done.
You guys.
It's
Hit
another
us.
moon.
Hit us. Okay.
Why does that moon have laces?
Oh my God. Pluto.
Is that you?
Pluto, you're back.
No, it's a rotating. It's a rotating football.
Pluto.
You guys.
All right, I know you're really excited about this next one.
I have been thinking about
Should
this.
we drag this out longer
Please
and make
stop.
her?
No, don't.
She's been telling me that I'm gonna love this next one
You
for
are.
like a
All right.
week.
You are.
Yep.
So, those of you that follow a lot of sports like me, will know Pat Cavanaugh. He is a big name in men's lacrosse. He played for Notre Dame last year, and I actually found him through Pat McAfee's show's TikTok. They did a interview with him, but he played with a torn labrum and a torn hamstring in the national championship against Duke last year.
Oh, did
Aaron, I
he?
want you to take a look at this picture of the back of his
scroll.
leg. So,
What?
this is my
yeah.
favorite thing. I knew you're gonna like this. So
Thank you for sending this and letting us in the loop.
You're
here.
welcome. You're welcome. He actually, was suffering from a torn labrum and a torn hamstring. So what you're seeing here and what you'll see on
Is that a TheraBand?
Yes, it is. It's a dark
for
blue
it.
TheraBand that his athletic trainer,
Yeah.
Maddie, who also works with the men's national team, lacrosse team, it served as an artificial hamstring outside of his body to give him flexion to continue to play
It's
the
an
game.
impromptu external prosthetic.
Sure is.
Yeah.
All done by his athletic trainer, Maddie. So, round of applause for Miss Maddie. They did go on to win.
Wow.
He plays with his brother Chris, and their older brother also played as well. And they did end up winning 13 to the Fighting Irish, 9 to the Duke Blue Devils. So, go Fighting Irish, go Pat. One of my favorite things I've ever seen. And he was
Wow.
like, I had to do it. Like, we were playing on Memorial Day. I can't just not. Like, one of his teammates was like, this guy got shot like 6 times and still ended up saving the person he went in to save. And Pat was like, if he can do that, then I can play with a torn
hang on a
labrum
second.
and a torn hamstring.
Torn labrum. I can only assume that because this is a left leg injury, hip labrum?
Yes.
Because there's one on the shoulder too.
No,
Yeah.
the shoulder. It was because in the interview, his arm is in a sling.
Oh, this guy's tore up from the floor up.
Jeez.
Sure is tore up from the floor up. You can say what you want about lax players, but they are tough as
Yeah,
They
are
lax.
tough.
They lax nothing.
Yeah,
nope,
no, they're
they
tough.
are tough as nails. And
Growing sport here in St. Louis too.
It really
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
Yeah. Very excited. Pat is a great guy. Love him. Love what he stands for. Great lax player. Great family legacy that they have.
Yeah. So what do you think about this?
Yeah. Okay. So
You're welcome, by the way. I'm so excited about this. you guys.
I love the originality. However, the way that this TheraBand is, there's no way it's that taught the whole time to actually act as a hamstring. So I don't really see the difference between using that and just using Elasticon like you usually would.
I don't know the answer to that, but
Yeah.
he didn't play the entire time. Like, he was coming in and out of the game
Because it
to-
wasn't staying taut.
Yeah.
Yeah. So personally, I would not do this, but I understand the originality.
I mean, good for you,
I was gonna
girl,
say,
for doing
like,
something.
it's like this, and then people use popsicle sticks now for shin splints. Like, whatever works for the athlete, and honestly, whatever works and makes them feel like they can play.
Yeah.
But I think there was a better way to layering it on with Elasticon as well.
Yeah. That's just incredible. Like, that whole story on his part is...
Oh, yeah.
Wow. Yeah, that's one sport I have not experienced, have not played at all. But, I mean, you can see in this picture, you can see the posterior
yeah.
the bruising on the posterior aspect of the knee. Like, geez.
Yeah. Yeah, I worked with lacrosse in college, and they are a different breed.
Yeah.
They will play with torn meniscus, TFCC, like they will play with anything.
Yeah, and it is one of those games that does kind of capture you.
Oh,
Even if
yeah.
you don't know what the hell you're looking at or what the whistles are for, it's like the intensity in men or women's lacrosse.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very captivating game. I don't know if my boys are ever going to want to play it or if Cammie's ever going to want to play it, but if they do, I'd be interested to learn more. But that injury is no joke. Good
Yeah,
on him.
and from the picture, it looks like he might have his ankle taped too. So,
Oh, there's more to that picture. Yeah, there it is.
yeah, that's either an ankle or an Achilles.
I wonder if she tried to take it all the way down to the high ankle there,
Maybe.
to the distal tib. Interesting.
Yeah, I kind of want to go try this.
Yeah. I saw this and I was like, I need someone to nerd out with about this. So
Yeah.
I've been holding this in my back pocket, just thinking about it. And when we, started doing this podcast, this was immediately
So
what I thought.
let me take this. Let me let you into my headspace on this. Love the love the innovativeness here.
Yeah.
To do at least do something. So that's awesome. But where I go with this too is I wonder how much more apt for a medial knee injury he is, because that medial hamstring attaches across the knee joint. So if it is torn, if it's the, and it looks like it, obviously it's the distal, it's the insertion point that is torn on that medial aspect of the knee. I wonder how much stability you lose and how much more susceptible he is to MCL, medial meniscus injury, or even ACL, PCL because of the combo. While those might posterior and anterior drawer effect is what those are supporting, I wonder how much losing a medial support would impact even an ACL injury.
Oh, yeah. Tons.
So it's like for him to do that, it's like, man, he takes a hit from the lateral side of that leg and gaps that medial side. Whoa.
Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know how much support the medial hamstring is actually, protecting that medial part of the knee joint. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'd
well, and
imagine
aside from that, even if it doesn't have anything to do with it, which we all know it does, but him having a labrum in the shoulder and this going on, he's going to be playing differently than he's used to playing. So he's going to compensate in ways that he hasn't before.
Yeah,
and also playing against him, if I'm playing against him in this huge game, I'm going to go right for his hamstring.
How did he tear it? Do we know?
That I don't know, but I do know that it was in a game prior, not during this game.
I wonder what that field consisted of.
I was going to say, looks like turf.
That's a totally biased
That's next week.
But yeah. So,
Love
interesting.
it. Yeah, love it.
That's all I
him.
have for you guys. Those
If
are
it
my
wasn't the
two.
national championship game, his ass would have been on my bench protecting him, but I
Yeah.
totally get it. Even as a coach, I'd have been like, look, dog, sign this waiver, I'll put you in.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, if you're gonna load up, if you want to be on the field and you're on my team, that shows me a little something.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, if we're 21-1 and we've got 10 games to go, you're gonna rest right here.
Right.
But I want you on my squad, bro. That's for sure.
Yeah.
Pat Cavanaugh, good for you, bro.
Love it. Thank you for all those.
Oh, you're so welcome. Just wait. Next week's going to be just as good, you guys.
Oh, can't wait. All right. So next thing we have is our main topic today. Deep dive time. So our deep dive today is the student and student athlete. Yeah.
Who do you want to start this off?
Go for it.
Man. All right. So probably one of the most important words in student athlete.
Yep.
And there's only two. So there you go. Second to none is student.
Yeah.
The only thing that trumps student, and it's not a part of this word, is family. So, but at the end of the day, you're responsible for you. And right now you are a student. And while I've been on record for saying, the whole college scene ain't what it used to be, but that's where the sports are. And you have to be a great student. You don't have to be a good student. You have to be a great student in order to be a student athlete. I ever get the opportunity to coach, I'd love to change the game and requirements of what it takes to be eligible to be a student athlete.
Yeah.
The responsibility there, it can be a lot of fun, it can be a lot of play, but there's a lot of responsibility. It's earned.
Yeah.
There are plenty of people that can take your spot. So don't worry about the athlete portion of it, because at the end of the day, I can tell you from my experience. You want me to let them in on my experience? I believe I graduated high school with a 1.9 GPA. They're like, how'd you do that? Well, because I think they faked it and gave me like a 2.2 or something. Not cool.
Yeah.
I never missed school. I never was, I never resented school, and I wasn't the asshole in the hallways and to teachers or anything. But there was that part of me too where, maybe I was bored. I mean, obviously I went on to get my doctorate, and that's super cool. I'm my intellect is high. That's
right.
great. We all have a very high intellect. We just have to figure out how these student athletes need to be talked to, interacted with. What do they need? I'm all for not catering to them, but along with student, we also always say they're a person.
Yeah.
So I think student athletes could be served better in the student space. It's like you put 36 people in a room in your junior high and high school classes and try to teach them all the same way.
Yeah.
You're going to have a very low percentage of them that learn that way.
Right.
So we're kind of setting them up for failure there. But to all the student athletes directly, be a good freaking student, please.
Yeah.
Your life depends on it. Your future spouse depends on it. And it's not about what you learn in school. It's about how you interact with people at school. It's about how you problem solve and how, again, perspectives, the Josh Dobbs conversation. You don't need to have some high-class NASA degree. You don't need to go have a doctorate. But if you're a student athlete, the student portion should be very, very highly regarded in order to be able to be an athlete on the field. This whole you need a 2.0 grade point average is bullshit.
Yeah.
You need a 3.0 or better. If you're on my squad, if you want to be a starter and have a chance to get in the game, you better have a 3.0.
Yeah.
Period.
Yeah. I think what gets forgotten about a lot is like when you can't be a collegiate athlete, professional athlete without being eligible. Yeah. Like you have to keep yourself eligible, and you also have to keep sometimes your teammates eligible too, and like be on them about that. Because the last thing that anyone wants, coaches, parents, athletes, peers, is for them to be ineligible. Mm-hmm. And that also just takes a toll then on their mental being, their everything that we talk about all the time.
Yeah. Which is why the 3 pillars are mental, physical, relationships.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and the student part also like has to do with taking time to be a student. I think a lot of sports get some hate because they're so time consuming and they require so much effort and whatever. But at the same time, like if you're not okay with kind of going into that lifestyle of you have to put like do your homework in the car. You have to do your homework while you're eating carpooled and eating dinner so you can go to practice. It's again a lifestyle that you kind of have to choose from a very early age, and as parents, you have to know that that's what you're signing your kid up for and yourself if they can't drive.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I mean, it brings up something that I just literally thought of listening to you talk. We spend millions and millions of dollars on staffing now at the college level, on locker rooms and high profile resources. I still think we can do better in the resources department in healthcare, personal care, mental health care for student athletes for sure. So it almost makes me wonder, because then you have the whole other side of, yes, I truly do believe that there are some educators, teachers out there that have a bit of a bias against student athletes.
Oh, 100%.
And I get it. It's not your thing. It's like you want to teach them. I get it. But what if during that season we had former athlete educators as the teachers for their subjects? Mm-hmm. As many as you can. Now, It's like, well, this person's education, this person's pre-med, this person,
Yeah.
I get that. But at the same time, it's like you spend about $5 million a year elsewhere that we could probably reallocate and pay some great educators to do that. That way there is no personal bias. Because here's the other thing too, whether the teacher has a bias or not, the other thing I hate hearing from student athletes, oh, they don't like me because I'm a football player.
Yeah.
Oh, they don't like me because I'm a softball. Sounds like excuses to me.
Yeah.
Like, no, we're not, like, get over it. There's always going to be people that don't like you, prefer you, don't want, like, that happens. So then if you do have that situation, deal through it. Mm-hmm. Like, grow through that. Do what you need to do. Don't just jump through the hoops. Excel. Is there anything I can do better? I know we're on a misunderstanding. Communicate, but that just don't fly. But what if we did? Like, how do we change the game on that? That would be my first option is, well, then how many educators go on these trips to make sure, are they tutored? I don't know. Mm-hmm. Maybe they are. Oh, yeah, we send 5 on each, but maybe they do. So somebody help me if you know more about that. I skipped the whole college sport thing and had an opportunity behind the scenes so I never went through and had to experience that.
Right.
When I went back to college, I was 23 years old, went through a biochem degree in 2.5 years. Like my avenue was different than theirs. But these student athletes now, I think they could use that.
Yeah. Yeah, and now especially like when people are struggling in classes, the first thing that their coaches have them do, or like the school policy that I know of a lot of colleges, is they just have to do more study hours. But if you're just doing more study hours and you don't know how to study, you don't know what is going wrong, like a lot of the time, like athletes as a whole don't know why they're failing.
Yeah.
Like they are trying their very hardest. Do they want to be ineligible? No.
Yeah.
So just telling them to go have more study hours in like the student center is not going to do anything for them. And especially when they're logging that hour, they're by themselves. Like there is no tutor because
Here's what that looks like.
yeah, exactly. Because schools are too busy buying new cleats and new fields and new uniforms than they are giving people tutors, like you're saying, and allocating that to athletes.
Yeah. Well, we're here to win football games. No, we're here to build better people.
Yeah.
And the sport can do that. Allow it to.
Yeah. Well, and you want so many people from your program to go on to be professional athletes, but if they literally aren't passing their classes in a college, there's no way you're going to get that. So who does that reflect on? You as a coach, you as a program, you as a school.
And here's the thing, just putting it back on the student athlete and for the parents, like there's a way to talk about this. I'm going to come off a little more bold and hopefully inspiring is as far as the student athlete, I'm going to go back to don't make excuses. Get it done. There are plenty of resources out there for students. A little bit of the slack I will give is I don't think they're appropriately showcased, and that needs to be better. But at the same time, we all as student athletes, we have a brain. We are very smart. We can figure out where we need to get to.
Yeah.
It's like you figured out how to get that girl's phone number. I bet you can figure out how to get a tutor.
Exactly.
Right? It's like you gain the courage to go ask that guy, like, what's he doing later? It's like, yeah, I think you can figure out where a tutor's at.
Yeah, the other thing that I'll tell student athletes is don't wait until you're already failing. Don't wait until it's too late to dig yourself out of a hole. Like the second that you feel like, shoot, day one, if you look at the syllabus, and if you're in college, a syllabus, high school, sometimes they give them, I don't really know. And you are like, this is a lot. That is your time to say, okay, I'm going to get a tutor before the issue happens. You get to college and you're like, I can't even understand my chemistry teacher. You get a tutor then. You don't wait for midterms when your coach is like, hey, if you're not passing by January, we're pulling you.
Yeah. And that's why we're creating the platform we have for student athletes. That's why we have the private group for parents, is because we're starting to put these resources, and a lot of these we're just giving away.
Yeah.
Like we're building out the pureathlete.com right now, and we're going to be able to give those downloadables. So if you want, the time management one we did, that's in the parent group. We're breaking that down. It's like you eventually you'll either be able to get it through the portal of the community we have. It's like a classroom. It's like a private Facebook group that's not on Facebook. Thank God. If there's one social platform you want to get rid of, it's Facebook. Trust me, that X is not the problem here.
Yeah.
But we're building it out. It's like a private Facebook group, so you can interact, you can post great stuff, you can post pictures and build people up, and that's what it's for. I'm planting that seed now. It's not to talk drama and can you believe this? Did you see this? It's like, no. But it is like a private Facebook group, but that has a classroom portion in it, and we're going to drop it in there for student athletes. Yeah. Or the pureathlete.com will have it in there as well, because time management, that we said it during that, we'll give you a quick glimpse, is they often know what they need to do and where they need to be, but not always when they need to do it.
Right.
And that's a big deal. It seems so trivial, but at the same time, there's a lot of adults that struggle with that too. And guess what? Life after sport eventually ends. Then what happens? Life looks the same. It's just, there's not a big scoreboard with your team logo on it, but there's a scoreboard. It's still a game. You're still within 2 lines. You drive down the road. Guess what you're between? 2 lines.
Yeah.
Like there's a scoreboard. There's lights up there that you have to stop and go at. Like it's all the same. Let's figure out how to manage whatever it is the issue. Not everybody has time management problems. That's just an example.
No, and I think a lot of times in high school, athletes can really a lot of people in high school can just kind of skate by. Like they're going to get passed, they're going to have study halls, like they're going to load their scheduled study halls, and then they get to college and like, wait, how do I study? Like that's what happened to me. I skated through everything until college, and I was like, oh, what's studying? I never did that before. And so that's another thing that we can drop too, is like good study habits for athletes. When you have maybe that time crunch of an hour in your time management schedule, like how do I efficiently study for 1 hour? How do I prioritize what I'm doing in those little small breaks that I have during the day?
I think one thing that we can commit to doing, and this is off the cuff right now, you're hearing it here first, is if you want to, I don't care where you are, you can be in Paris, you can be in Fort Lauderdale, you can be in LA, I don't care. If you would like to book a call with one of us and say, hey, heard this, or if you want to book one of your kids, whatever, jump on a call. We'll jump on a Zoom with you at any point in time. And we will listen. Here's what I know. Here's how I feel I learn best. And we'll ask you some questions. We know enough where we can help figure out this is what might work for you. This is what worked for me. I'm the exact opposite, so maybe we can try this with you. And also point you to some resources that'll be able to take it further.
Yeah.
Where we can also just give you the ability to say, look, I had an evaluation done and here's what we found. Like sometimes that next level of resource wants to hear that. Like, no, we're not accredited and figuring out the student psychology. It's like, that's not what we're talking about.
Right.
We're going to listen to you as a person and we'll get you the resources you need. I think that would be a super cool thing that we could do. And I think we'd be happy to do is listen to the student athlete. How do you feel you learn best? Listen to the parent. What have you seen through their course in education? And let's help you from there. Best time to start is yesterday. The next best time is now.
Yeah.
So, and like you said, I love what you said. It's like do not wait till you're in a hole. It's like tearing your ACL and then deciding to, I think I'm going to try to walk on the baseball team. It's like, well, hang on a second.
Yeah.
Don't fall behind.
Yeah, and a lot of athletes, just because the nature of sport is they learn differently sometimes. So, like, any athlete that I know learns best by one, seeing or doing. There's not a lot of athletes out there, and I could be so wrong, that learn other ways.
Right.
So in the traditional school system, it's hard sometimes to teach a whole class that way. It's hard to do hands-on stuff all of the time. It's hard to show them what to do and then them copy you. And so that's another thing. Like if that's how you learn, you almost have to go home sometimes and do it yourself and put it on yourself to make it happen. I mean, we always say like, it sounds like an excuse whenever you're just like, well, I don't understand my teacher. Okay, well, figure it out.
Yeah. No.
So it's either that or you sitting on my bench.
So what was yours?
My way of learning?
Well, what was your give us your story, give us your roadblock, give us kind of your give us the drama, give us the tea on like, holy shit, I was in a bad way in this class and here's what I figured out.
Yeah.
What did AT Erin almost fail? Nothing, because she's perfect.
So in high school I took easy classes. Not
Those
really.
headphones tighter?
Yeah. In high school I took pretty easy classes. I took AP classes, but I still kind of found them easy. And then, so I never studied. I would get home from dance at like 10 p.m., just go to bed, wake up, take a test. Was like, I'm fine. Graduated high school with like a 3.8 or something. And then my freshman year of college was kind of the same thing because you have to retake everything you already took. So that year was fine. It was my sophomore year when I started the AT program. And I was like, oh, man, like this is really what they talk about with college because I'm taking all these advanced classes. Really, honestly, my hardest class was chemistry. I did not understand it because I can't see it. I can't see the atoms. I don't understand what's going on. Whereas like anatomy, yes, it was difficult, but I could also like practice anatomy. And so I struggled mostly in chemistry. And then my big roadblock was test taking. Still is to this day. I would be the star pupil in class, raising my hand, knowing every answer. The second
you were that gal.
I mean,
of course she would know that.
In a class of like 6 people, it's kind of just like an open conversation.
Okay. Gotcha.
And so it would become like a test day, and I would literally just like forget everything. And people always be like, "There's no way. Like, there's no way that actually happens." I'm like, yes, I literally go blink, and like. The second I walk out of the room, it all comes back to me. And so, honestly, my biggest roadblock was taking tests and my grades staying like high because of test scores.
Yeah. And this is exactly why I'm just going to point out, this is what the Pure Athlete exists for, because we are real people who have been through it. So through it that I will tell you right now, I love throwing Erin under the bus, and I love warning her that I'm going to do so. This is also why she graduates without her ATC when most of her classmates take it right after they graduate. And it took her about 9 months to take it because she still goes through that. There's plenty of athletes that do. You or they are not alone. It happens. Let's work through it. Let's have resources. Let us help you figure it out.
And I feel like the big reason why I waited so long is because I was afraid, like so fearful of failing because I'm not a person in like dancing growing up. I would get things right away. And the second I didn't, I was not nice to be around. And I'm not used to losing. I'm not used to, if I like, I'll say it, I'm a very sore loser. And like, I warn everyone I coach about that. I'm like, listen, I'm going to tell you to like be such a great loser and like congratulate your person. But like, I'm telling you right now, I probably won't do the same.
I hate losing more than I like winning.
Yes.
It's dangerous. And that's not a great thing to have or share, but it's real.
And so like that was honestly like the big fear of like, okay, well, what if I fail? Because then people will know I failed. And the perception, not that people's perception of you should diminish, but there's people out there who'd be like, oh, she failed. She's not as smart as them. Like, that's not how it goes.
And this will be a good topic for another time and place. But the fear of failure is big.
Yeah.
The alternative, which is even worse and bigger, is the fear of success.
Yeah.
Figure that out. I'll just drop that right there and leave it.
Yeah.
But the fear of success is real. And I think there's a lot of student athletes that need to have that conversation or be brought around to that conversation.
Yeah.
Because the example there, I said I was going to leave it alone. The example there is, oh man, what if I do end up a starter?
Yeah.
Then what?
Yeah.
I'll leave it there.
Yeah. And I think the other thing is like most athletes don't get nervous they get nervous for like a game, but they're not nervous because people are watching them.
Yeah.
And so like growing up yes, I would get nervous at nationals, but I wasn't ever nervous because I was like, oh gosh, I'm on a stage. But the second that I would take a test, I would feel how people experience when they're giving a public speech or they're in front of people. But you put me on a stage with a live stream, national viewage, literally full of fans and people, judges who are determining if we win or lose.
A competition at the highest
Yeah,
scale.
cool as a cucumber. I was the one saying like, all right, we're good.
Yeah.
Then the switch is the second that
Yep.
that happens.
So just to summarize that, be a good student.
Yeah.
And if you have problems being a good student, or if you're that person where my teachers hate me and I just don't like school, that's fine. You could admit that. Talk to me, talk to Erin about it. That's fine. Like, we'll let you have that space.
Yeah.
And we just want to bring you out of it. But at the end of the day, it's necessary. You will understand later. I hate it when parents always say that. When, growing up, they're like, you'll understand one day when
Yeah.
you have kids.
Yeah.
It's like, no, you're right. But here's the thing. If you black out come test taking time, you just see black. You don't know. You don't even almost forgot how to read. Let's talk about that.
Yeah.
If you're so nervous, like you're throwing up, let's talk about that. If you're not remembering the things, let's talk about that. Like, those are all signals. That doesn't define you.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean you have anything. You don't have a learning disability. We just haven't quite figured out how we can get it to you the best, or how you need to consume it the best, and some of those steps to make sure you retain that information.
Yeah.
There is help with that. Like I said, I don't think it's out there. I don't think it's showcased enough, but I also don't think it's a two-way street too. And if you all know how to communicate that better and talk about, here's what I'm struggling with, here's what I need to be better at, you have to speak up and say something.
Yeah.
And then the help can come.
Yeah.
And I agree that's not always easy to do, and nor do we know who. Let this be a space. Call us, text us, DM us, whatever. Let's jump on a call. And even if we don't have the answer, like I said earlier, at least you can air it out and we can get you to where you need to be.
Yeah, I think the other thing that helped me was I realized like in athletics, in sports, you go to practice and you rehearse for the literal competition day. You simulate that feeling as much as possible. And so you have to do that as a student too. So like having your roommates or your friends quiz you in that setting, you're kind of setting yourself up for a simulation.
Yeah.
And so that's a huge one of mental preparation. It's a huge.
She missed English class.
Yeah, clearly only science for me. It's huge in the mental prep of test taking or even going to class, turning things in. You have to prepare yourself just like you would prepare yourself for a soccer game.
Yep. I'm not gonna wear a hockey mask, kick a soccer ball.
No. All right.
Cool. That was good.
Yeah, we're good. Yeah. All right, so our
adjust those headphones again, please.
okay, so our next one is our Ask Better Questions, Get Better Answers. So my phone is recording, but I already looked. So our first question, we have two today. Our first one is going to be mostly for you because you love talking about this. What should athletes be eating to gain muscle?
Protein and good fat.
Yeah.
Protein. How much protein? Really depends. I would say standard across the board very quickly, because there's not the 320. There's not a lot percentage-wise of the 320 or larger athletes all the time. I think everybody should be shooting for at least 150 grams of protein a day.
Yeah.
Again, that can change, a little more, a little less, but I mean, eat. Like if you're eating more protein, like sometimes it's like, how the hell am I gonna get 150 grams of protein? Like I am full.
Yeah.
So eat protein. And then what's the better question to that? Well, what are the better protein? What are the good proteins?
Right.
Like what about, shake replacement stuff? And it's like, well, yes. And I think there's definitely a component to that, especially as a student athlete.
Yeah.
Or as a parent trying to keep up. Maybe you're that CEO that's still very high active with student athletes. Yes, meal replacement shakes, yes. You got to look at the ingredients. That's going to be a whole nother course in conversation and ditch and switch. There's definitely some brands we like. I can drop that on the website, or you can reach out and get those from us. I would like to talk to some of these companies and be able to be a resource to get them out for you guys that are cleaner. If the ingredient list is off the chart, just see ya.
Yeah. If you can't pronounce the ingredient list, usually that's my rule of thumb.
Yeah. And getting it in a powder, you're gonna sacrifice a little bit of the natural and organic and things like that. But there are some great options out there for that. Great deep freshwater, saltwater fish, or not freshwater, but more the ocean fish, the saltwater fish. There are some great freshwater fish too, but the deeper you can get it, not farm raised, that's a whole different story. But good fish, your ahis, your deep salmons, your mahis are all great proteins. Your red meat, I don't care what anybody says, red meat's often attacked. Eat red meat.
Yeah.
And then the biggest thing, and that's great for even physique wise. It's like if more people ate more protein, the path of least resistance for how the body burns is sugar. Sugar, fat, protein. So what are you going to keep longer? Protein. What are you going to burn through? Sugar. But if you eat so much sugar and you're not so active, that's when you start to add on the weight, pounds and fat, because sugar will convert, store to fat if it's not used. So it's like, that's why the keto conversation, I'm not promoting keto, but why does that work so good for people? There's some people it doesn't work. That's not true. They didn't commit to the process.
Yeah.
If you truly go into a ketosis state, the path of least resistance kicks in. Protein, and your body's going to use the sugar first, and then it's going to go to the fat. That's why some people I did keto once. It looked like I was sick because I couldn't take in enough calories. I just started the office. I'm go, very high active, still working out. But I just dropped all the free sugar that was in my body and all the fat, gone.
Yeah.
So we got to be careful with that conversation. But if you're putting on weight, protein.
Yeah, and even with off the eating aspect of it too, but to gain muscle, there's also a good way to be lifting and to be working out that will help your eating as well. You're working out, you will eat more protein. That's how that goes. It also helps the body recover after lifting heavy.
Yep. It's like, oh, well, I always have a handful of gummy bears after I eat. Yeah, glycogen replenishing, yes, aware of that.
Yeah.
But what you don't need to do is go have a big old bowl of never-ending pasta from Olive Garden.
Right.
So protein.
Love it. Okay, our next one is asking about what a dynamic warm-up is. So a dynamic warm-up is
Oh, you don't want me to answer that one?
No, I got it. Dynamic warm-ups are pretty hot in the topic right now because everyone's used to just stretching. Stretching to warm up, just statically stretching. So dynamic warm-up is you're moving through your whole body's range of motion instead of just holding your range of motion. So it really pumps the blood through the body, gets your body ready to go, prepares your body for the load that you're going to be putting on it. And I always say, if you're going to be doing, say, squats or in dance, you're going to be turning that day, or soccer, you're going to be kicking a lot that day. You have to activate those muscles before you do that job. So in the dance setting, if I know we're going to be doing turns a lot that day, then we're doing some turn drills and we're activating our abs, our releve. Before we even get to it, before we even stretch, that's what you should be doing. You have to warm up the body to then stretch it correctly.
Mm-hmm. And keep the body warm during the dynamic warm up.
Yeah.
It's a warm up, not a dynamic stretch up.
Yep.
Get some heat, get the blood boiling a little bit. And that's why people will cheat and just be on the I was on the treadmill for 10 minutes. I started walking. I was doing some uphill, and I light jog. And that's great.
Yeah.
However, yes, going through, you said it, if you didn't catch it, going through the body's whole range of motion.
Yeah. Yeah.
Erin, have you seen Jason Kelsey's warm up?
Yes, I love it, actually.
I was just because I was like, that is
Oh, where he
dynamic.
goes like this in the end zone?
Well, no, that's his cool down.
His little Uzi, when he hit the Uzi. I saw that last night. Oh, man, shout out Jason Kelsey.
Yeah, love that, man. But yeah, no, I love his because he also uses bands. So
I was just gonna say.
band work is huge when it comes to warming up. That's really what I'm talking about. Like, you're going to be hitting a heavy squat. You shouldn't go from just doing a body weight squat to then throwing weight on it. You should, one, do a body weight squat, be like, okay, how am I feeling today? The warm up is also a place to check in with yourself mentally and see where your body needs more help that day, where you're feeling good. And then with those bands, you increase your resistance. So you're activating those small muscles and the big muscles by using bands before you're throwing weight on to, one, help your body warm up, but also decrease your injury risk.
And imagine that. We happen to give those things during our pure athlete evaluation. We give our athletes those things. When they do the pure athlete evaluation, we give them specific bands for what they've gone through and how teach them how to warm up. And yeah, dynamic warm up for the win.
Yeah. All right. Love it. That was a good one.
All right. Any upcoming events, predictions? We talked about we will be on the back end of competition.
Yep.
Old Santa Claus is starting to stir. That's always good. We've got elves flying around our house. That's fun with 3 kids. If you're not doing Elf on the Shelf, you're probably need to be a better parent. If you've got kids under 8, you need to be doing Elf on the Shelf. It's so fun.
I think it's more fun for the parent.
All right. Man, we hang them things from light switches. And oh, yeah. They've been stuck inside bottles of water. Just kidding. Elf on the Shelf. Year's coming to an end.
Yeah. Start making those New Year's resolutions, if you will. Don't wait. Start now.
Start now. Get ahead. Get ahead. Bring somebody with you.
Yeah.
All right. Well, hope you enjoyed. We will be back next week, as we will be each and every week.
Yup.
Make sure you like, subscribe, leave your questions, engage with us. Happy to bring this. Excited. Episode 2.
Yeah.
Down. See ya.